Welcome back, everybody. Aggro with Anatoly now on the desk as we're getting ready for our final set of the day here in the North American Minor League. It's going to be CryptiK up against Sanguine, and this is one that Sanguine has looked like the second best team in North America pretty consistently, right behind Armada. And with the top two going to MSI, these are the types of games they have to win if they want to secure their spot.
The number 2 versus the number 3, these games matter the most because nobody's catching up to Armada. They are pretty much locked into the MSI. It's all about who's going to be the second team to join them.
And Sanguine looks to be the one that I think has been the strongest thus far, but CryptiK has had their moments taking games off Armada in the past, but we'll see if they're able to find that moment here today. Though CryptiK does have a substitute here today, Diesel instead of Benny Q. Benny, pretty well known for his unique play style and build styles, so we'll see how Diesel's able to impact that team.
And maybe they need something more standard coming from that position, knowing that Cope in that jungle position is going to be aggressive, and they probably want some more stability.
Something that we are looking forward to is how CryptiK's going to be able to adjust without Benny Q here. Cope, since returning, hasn't looked great, Toly. I mean, he was amazing last year during the super regional period, you know, the knockout stage or whatever you want to call it. He looked amazing, but took a break at the beginning of this year and is kind of struggled since. Do you think it's just a matter of time to get himself reacclimated?
I think so, because you don't just lose it out of nowhere. Honestly, it just takes a little bit of time investment, the same way you would kind of practice and train him before. As long as Cope gets that same regimen for himself, I don't expect it to take him a long time to get back to form.
Certainly looking to do that against Sanguine here today, and Sanguine has been the team that I think has impressed all of us the most in this region outside of Armada. They took a set off Armada pretty recently, I believe. So this is a team that really needs to step up and win these sorts of games pretty convincingly if they're going to convince me that they're ready to take on the tough competition at MSI.
I agree. I think that this team, Sanguine, the LatAm team of yesteryear, has been able to really throw curveballs at their opposition. Jarcorrr in that solo lane has been aggressive at level 1 at times, invading players, specifically that Armada set when he was on the Bellona, made Scream's life a living hell.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just something that he can do out of that solo lane. And I do want to make a quick correction. Don't think they beat Armada. It was Space Station Gold that actually ended up taking a set. But Sanguine's been taking a lot of games off Armada individually in their sets so far this year. This team is just, they're a really well-positioned team, I think. They don't have that star player. They kind of remind me of Flashpoint without Johnny in a way. I mean, they don't have that one guy. It's like, oh, you have to shut him down. But everyone just does their job really, really well in this squad.
That's true. Panitom on the jungle position has always been able to look for things. Sheento out of the mid is looking for opportunities to make the plays. The Poseidon with the Krakens. He loves that pick.
Yeah, he's got a pretty versatile god pool. Loves to play the Giannis and the Poseidon and things like that. I do think that Sheento is kind of the headliner here. I mean, it's Panitom or Sheento, for my estimation, that usually does the most for this squad, but then Netrioid has a great game here and there. I mean, everyone on this team has had a game where I'm like, okay, maybe they will now ascend as the de facto leader for this squad. And I don't have a problem with the fact that I don't think they really have one yet, though if I had to give someone the edge, it would probably be Sheento.
I think Ronngyu in the support position is always aggressive. Every time I see him in my games, I'm like, wow, he's always so aggressive. And it translates also to the SML games when he's playing these assassins from time to time, trying to set Netrioid in a comfortable position.
Sanguine just can really do it all with the play style. They can play it slow, they can play it fast. They've just worked together for enough time as a unit to be ready for those sorts of moments. We're ready now for game number 1 in the picks and bans to see exactly what Sanguine's going to bring and what CryptiK may be able to answer with. CryptiK in that first pick slot. And we saw the Freya being let through, not first picked, but got all the way through to second pick last time around in our last set with Armada and Space Station Gold, and I think the Freya did a lot of pretty good work in that set.
It did. It was left alone on Oswald, where he did a lot of damage, a lot of boxing fights up against Snoopy, but I don't expect it to be allowed. I think Netrioid has comfortable games on the Freya. I think Sanguine probably feeling confident if he locks that in.
Absolutely. I think they should, as Naja and Jormungandr actually the two bans for Team CryptiK. Achilles was the ban so far for Sanguine. Xbalanque has been one that's been pretty popular in North America. Merlin, of course, when you're in second pick position, kind of got to keep that in mind, as a lot of teams willing to first pick the mid-mage. So now CryptiK has a couple options. Xbalanque is one of those options. Freya, another one of those options. Just seems like there's a couple ways that CryptiK could go from here. And it is going to be the Xbalanque. So it could have been Freya if they wanted to go for the magical duo lane or put the Freya in the mid lane. But Sanguine now have the opportunity to get Netrioid that Freya that he likes.
Haven't really seen a lot of Xbalanque today, surprisingly.
No, this is the first game we've seen him today.
And that is still like a shock to me, where it's been prioritized first pick, banned even occasionally from time to time. But there's been a lot of hunters just risen in popularity, right? It's the Freyas, the Hachimans, the Jingweis, even the Kronos is getting a little bit of love recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially Streak Up for simplicity. He's been loving that Kronos pick. Got banned against him quite a bit today. As Freya, Bellona, two of the picks that you highlighted. I mean, Netrioid loves the Freya. Bellona in the solo lane there for this squad. They seem to really, really like that over there for Jarcorrr. These are tried and true picks for Sanguine, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it at all. And Terra going to be locked in. A great support pick, trying to control some of these team fights in the mid to late game with the roots, with the stuns. Wouldn't be surprised to see you even in the solo lane from CryptiK, knowing that Zearoe has played it from time to time.
He has. Zearoe either goes for the really defensive Guardians like Terra or super offensive like Habwa. And if he does go in the middle, something like a Vamana, he's usually building damage. It's something that he has a very unique playstyle, but one that's been pretty successful for him during his time here playing in the North American minor league for the European player. It's Fafnir, the pick right before the second ban phase by Sanguine. Fafnir has just been so popular as of late, and a lot of it is because you have compositions like this. Freya, Bellona, they love to have extra attack speed, and this is, you can even pick more into this. You can pick Bakasura or a Hunter in the mid lane. I mean, there's so much that now your composition's kind of wide open.
A Kali potentially in that jungle role.
That'd be great.
For Sanguine, I'm not sure if Sheento's going to lean a little bit on the Hunter side. We'll see where they go. The option is definitely available to them if they choose to explore it.
Oh, absolutely. You definitely have that option if they want. It looks like CryptiK's worried about it as they ban away that AMC, just in case that's the direction that they might want to go, as Soul and Ratatosker, a little bit of a shot at Sops and at Cope with these bans. Cope, when he has those good games, a lot of them have been on the Ratatosker.
Yes, the global pressure cannot be denied, and Ratatosker has been prioritized in the SPL to the point where it's getting first banned. In SML, though, kind of neglecting it, the same viewpoint that the Pro League has. And Kronos, not a bad ban in the slightest if you're expecting another Hunter.
No, Sheento's played a lot of Kronos during this phase, I believe, and when you have Fafnir there already, that's a good idea. And there's something else that Sanguine's played a lot of, that Arachne for Panitom in the jungle. This has been a really, really strong pick for them. It synergizes beautifully with Fafnir, as many gods do. And so now Sanguine's composition looks very, very scary in the team fighting phase. They've got good ganks, they've got good control, and they've got great objective burn. I like everything they've got so far.
Tier being locked in for CryptiK, and you got to be thinking about ways to prevent that Fearless from coming through. Cripples would be a good way to do so, but you already have three frontliners between the Bellona, the Fafnir, and the Arachne. You need something ranged. Scylla could be potentially played.
Could be. I wouldn't mind Poseidon. Goes well with Fafnir again. The Trident's pretty good. The Cripple, obviously very strong against Tyr and Serqet and Terra. And Poseidon can do pretty well against Hera if that shield is down. And Poseidon is going to be the selection. I love it here for Sanguine. Sheento, we know, very comfortable on this selection. I love Sanguine's draft, top to bottom. CryptiK going to have their work cut out for them here in game number 1 as they look to take down the second seed and improve their seeding for mid-season invitational. It's Finch and it's F. for CryptiK and Sanguine.
Thanks, Aggro. Thanks, Toli. Moving in to this very important game number 1 as these two teams battle to try and claim that second place spot in the NASML. Again, all these teams now have kind of shifted their focus towards the mid-season invitational, that MSI tournament. So anything you can do to get ready for that one and put yourself in the spot to actually make it to the event, that's what these teams are trying to do.
It's all about the lands, baby. On the Pro League level, everything is a LAN, but it's still about those big, important events. On the minor league level, it's not all about the LAN. Just kidding. It is. But the regular season isn't played on LAN, so that's really the big difference. And just trying to compete to get there, that's what everybody's looking for, like you said. So these games certainly are going to start to matter even more so than they already have.
Well, they've left Netrioid alone here in the dual lane for Sanguine. Again, this has been a common thread. Where do these supports spend their time? And all these leagues, even within the leagues, the teams all have different ideas. Ronngyu has gone over to the solo side to split along with Jarcorrr here this time, trusting Netrioid to be able to clear on a Freya, who can do it quite well by himself. But Mineral and Diesel stuck together.
You notice this little change up though? Cope and Zearoe swapping positions.
That is interesting. Yeah.
I got excited. I thought we were going to see some old-fashioned tier support, but that's not the case. Zearoe going to be trying out the jungle. Two things to note: Zearoe is the player playing from Europe, so the ping might be a little bit different here as he's playing Serqet. Also, I just very interesting for me. I don't know what precedent there is for Zearoe playing jungle, Cope playing solo, but they're trying new things.
And the reason why this is so curious is because it's not as if CryptiK have been really struggling or anything like that. I mean, they haven't been the best team, but they've definitely looked competitive in the matches that I've seen. So, I mean, I wouldn't have thought that this is something that had to be done, but I guess if you're aiming to try and get towards Armada, anything that can improve your team even a bit is going to be necessary. And maybe there's something they're trying if they want to be ready for a spotted mid-season invitational. This might be the squad they want to run. So they've got to get some reps in before that starts. So CryptiK trying it out up against Sanguine. Very, very tough opponents. The formerly LATAM squad, still repping from LATAM, but now Sanguine here in the NASML.
Absolutely. Very, like we said, hardcore. Not the solo winner. The level of talent. Very hardcore team here, Sanguine is. So Team CryptiK, if they want to try this out, this is certainly a team worthwhile. It's not exactly a slouch.
Not at all.
So, yeah, we'll see. I'll keep an open mind. I think it's very interesting. Zearoe, Alexi has always been a short laner, and Cope has always been a jungler. So kind of interesting to see the switch up, but like I said, I'm here for it.
And this is such a critical match because these are the 2 and 3 seeds. Sanguine 2, CryptiK 3. But I mean, this is the match that in a way, if everyone else is even after this, that can, potentially determine who's the one that actually goes to that land. So it's such a big decision to make on who they put where and what value they can get out of that. So it's a 3-game set. You have a little bit of time to play with, even within the set itself, technically. So maybe if things do or don't work out, you can make adjustments based on that. But CryptiK are trying to make moves, man. They're trying to make it. This is a team that's full of players that have been right at this precipice for a long time.
Yeah.
So I know they're hungry to be able to come and improve themselves, not just against SML, but if you make it past that, even against some SPL.
Nice shot there from the Spider. But Zearoe's able to get on out of there. Cope previously played in the Pro League, kind of had a flash there. Certainly, I think, better fit for the minor league at the moment. Needs to build it up. Zearoe over here in the jungle. Certainly a nice change as well.
This is something that is at least a bit familiar here for Cope then. So maybe that's the idea, to try and capture some of what he had back in Season 3 when he was with ALG is the idea, but it's been a while since then, is certainly what it seems like.
He's always been a jungler at his core. I've, swapped around and played position here or there, but his most success has been on the jungle for sure.
That's well timed though with the Kraken. Sheento gobbles up Mineral, and they take him down for lunch. Sanguine the first ones on the board. Unfortunately, Mineral just gets caught out. It's just such a common strategy we see where these supports early on, before they're all that tanky, and they're still slow and punishable, they can end up falling.
Exactly. You want to focus the setup man before there's anything to set up, right? Later on, support can kind of get out of jail because they're tankier, or get out of jail because their teammates are going to show up and kind of provide the damage after the fact. But at this point, I mean, yeah, just jump on Mineral.
And this was Sanguine recognizing that they had that level 5 from Sheento as well, and it could kind of bring the rest of the team around to collapse onto Mineral and punish him. It's certainly not the end of the world. First Blood by itself, doesn't spell a whole lot, but it's a good start for the Sanguine team. Get a little bit of time, some assist credit for Panitom to be able to get some more farm up for this Arachne, who's going to be slow until she has a couple more blades to her name. So try and get some farm and accelerate this Arachne.
She's got to be active early. Level 5, it's not too late, but I would have liked to see, some earlier aggression. We saw a flash of it as she looked towards the Zearoe, but...
Panitom is considering dropping down. He does land the slow, and that means Jarcorrr can try to go to work, but an immediate ultimate comes out from Cope to reposition, and that might have been very necessary. Ronngyu was around the corner as well, so there would have been a 3-on-2 and Sanguine transitioned their focus directly to the blue buff. Cope nearby, but over the wall, Tyr can't do much, and that's the blue buff stolen.
Right on time. We asked for Panitom to be a little bit more active, and there it is. Looking for the invade at the blue buff, successfully gets it, and now gonna even stick around for some totem damage. So a nice look here from Panitom. Cope doesn't have the ultimate available. He used it earlier around that blue buff, but Panitom not going to stretch it, just gonna look for the farm.
Yes, this is, of course, a very, very important here match between these two teams. So that's why it's so good that Sanguine are not just finding first blood, but taking a little bit of that momentum from it and trying to pressure the jungle out too. Netrioid, if he gets stunned here, could be in some trouble. Had the purification bead still, but the extended range, not enough. Netrioid goes up into the air with the Valkyrie's discretion and makes his way out.
Next time going to be a sitting duck. You notice he used the ultimate, but also used the beads as well. And without any sort of option, Netrioid going to be just a nice target here for Team CryptiK to take advantage of, especially looking at Zearoe. I mean, the Serqet pick really, really can do wonders against the Freya.
Yes, this could be very scary for Netrioid. So hopefully they'll get some vision down, and he'll have to rely a good bit on Panitom to at least try and provide some information, if not on where Zearoe is, then where he isn't, at the very least, to try and give Netrioid some idea when he can expect to be ganked and try and play a little bit safer. He even has a little bit of defense this early on. You know, we've seen some different Freya builds, like the hastened ring into the boots. There's been any different starts, but a little bit of physical protection early never hurt either.
Yeah, so again, an interesting choice. Not one I dislike. I think you can do multiple things on Freya. And this one is just protecting him from the inevitable Zearoe gank. He knows how effective Serqet can be against this Freya character. And the dot with the ultimate, even going to tick through Valkyrie's discretion. So a lot of things going in Zero's way versus Netrioid. So he's going to play it a little bit extra careful and go a hybrid item first and foremost.
And I wonder if Mineral being over here with Diesel in the dual lane has kind of cut into some of Diesel's farm, because Netrioid is a bit out in front on the Freya. To be fair, you would expect that into the matchup against the Xbalanque anyway. Freya's clear some nuts early. And Xbalanque, even with the Bola, can take a little while to get comfortable in that lane matchup, but he also was sharing some of that farm, which might be a bit of an extra help as Cope looks for the proxy.
Yeah, he's going to go and just look for the proxy. Not looking for the kill whatsoever. It might have been looking like that, but Cope just looking for the farm behind the tower. And what that allows him to do, it gives him freedom to travel throughout the jungle and get involved. The problem is, Netrioid on the left side, landing and avoiding the stun.
That was critical that he got away from him, but he's not out of the woods just yet. Has to stutter step to get away from the stun. And with that sprint, this might be all they need. Just one more auto from Diesel sets this up, and Netrioid goes down 0-1-1. Ronngyu can't get here in time.
Easily punished. Just a little bit too far pushed up, and just like that, Netrioid's going to go down. Still didn't have access to the bead, so still on cooldown. But the ultimate did come up, and it went right back down, just like Netrioid, as he uses it to get out of jail, but not enough.
It also looks like they didn't get any vision on this side. And we talked about it, Netrioid was certainly going to be a sitting duck over there, so the most important thing he could have, really, even more than the cooldown, would be some information on if he was going to be in duress or not. And it's just that one from CryptiK up there by purple, really, to try and provide them some extra info. So, I mean, Netrioid, yes, pushed up, and couldn't be any the wiser that Mineral was there kind of lurking to catch him out. So even with the ult, no way to survive.
Tough stuff, though. That's really the problem here. How many options do you have for when you get in trouble? And Sanguine across the way Team CryptiK have so many ways to put Sanguine in trouble. Yeah. Zearoe is a control freak. Copebby also going to bring some control as well. Sops has Argus, which is going to chase you to the ends of the earth. Whoopee. Mineral also. And then, of course, Diesel literally turning off the lights. So Sanguine have a lot of opportunity to find themselves in a bad spot.
And I'm looking at this compositions, and it's really hard to say one team's gonna outclass another one come this late game.
Sure.
The Fafnir is a pretty big deal. Even with a Poseidon, even if it's not double hunter, that can certainly accelerate it. The Arachne and Bellona will benefit well too. But then there's a Terra and Earth and Fury to talk about, and Xbalanque late, and Serqet. And both these teams are still gonna be scary, so even though this game has been slower paced, I don't know if anyone should feel particularly in a rush, to make something happen. They've got plenty to work for on both sides once some items come online.
I would like to see Sanguine be the team to kind of follow. I think Sanguine is the team that can start the fights. I think they have a little bit of a later game composition. Your highlight of the Fafnir was absolutely where I was going to go as well. And so if I'm Sanguine, I'm kind of looking to play the game on my own terms. I want Jarcorrr to jump in deep. I want Ronngyu to coerce my team whenever and just look for the fights over and over again.
Sops in some trouble here too on the Hera. Never even gets the polymorph off. He falls with Argus as well. Never even got to have him provide any assistance. And Netrioid wants to go on the aggressive as well. Diesel's the one getting gassed as Netrioid tries to take him down, but can't quite find it. So it'll be Mineral's turn to disengage, but Eagle's Rally wants to cut off the path.
Panitom's going to blink onto the mid lane as well and find a target. The zigzag is good. The dot damage better. Zearoe falls down, and the Arachnid will walk away.
It's 2 for 0, and Sanguine want to take all that money right to the bank. How about a Gold Fury? Sounds pretty good to me. They even still have the AoE coerce, and with all these auto attackers, that's an excellent stim to make sure they burn through this quickly. 2 kills and the Gold Fury. Sanguine now sit on top.
Very easy. And that was easy because of the play that Sanguine had set up earlier. They get the kill in the mid lane, and they get the quasi kill, the technical kill, the totally TKO, right? You push somebody out of lane and they have to go back to base. Doesn't matter if you got a notch in your kill column or not. That player can't play D. And so Sanguine just walk in and pick up a Gold Fury nice and easy because it was paid in full earlier on.
Yeah, that was critical. Unfortunate for Sops that he got caught out. We didn't get there until towards the tail end of it to see exactly how he ended up getting isolated, but Sheento punished him cleanly. I mean, no beads, no ultimate, none of that was used. So clearly didn't think he was in as much trouble as he was, or that those tools wouldn't have been enough.
Right.
And without him there, with Diesel forced out and even Zearoe taking a spill, Sanguine had the match to themselves. He said he wanted to see them be the aggressors, and they've stepped up that aggression for sure. Next time that Gold Fury's up, they might look for it again.
And that's what they should do. Time and time again, I see teams kind of win one team fight and walk away. I want to see the continued pressure, the continued push. Sanguine will get the Gold Fury. Next up is going to be the Primal Fury. Prioritize that. When it spawns, look for the plays, look for the kills that enable you to go and pick up the objective.
Panitom, I talked earlier about how he was going to need to finish off at least another blade for his movement speed where he wanted. Well, he's done that. He's got the hastened katana to go along with the golden blade, so now sitting better than even if he had picked up boots at this point, and he's slowing you on top of that, so no longer is running away from the Arachne going to be a really good option. Really what you're going to want is for the fight to never have happened in the first place, but in a situation where you can, maybe blow her up first, because 1v1 it ain't happening.
Yeah, not at all. You don't fight the bug. The bug fights you. Blinking into the lane, getting stunned up, but it's all about Panitom forcing the ultimate after the heal. Oh, I don't like this decision. Netrioid's gonna fall. Well, he goes to the ultimate.
Turns around, look for some damage, and that does slow them down, but that one's got Mineral's name written all over it. A great stun to slow down Panitom when he was looking to blink past and try and get right to Diesel. But I don't think Cope's done here yet. He's remembering some of them ALD days as he dies the tier 1 tower. Netrioid falls first, Panitom in trouble too, but a good response. Kraken comes through from Sheento, and Jarcorrr can at least find Sops. Mineral falls as well. It's 2 for 2, and Sanguine aren't done as Cope hits the grave.
Double kill for the Poseidon and a fantastic play from Cope, but unfortunately the rest of the team just was getting beat up by Sanguine. Zigzag gonna be cut short. Zearoe jumps away, and there's a little bit of dot damage, but not the same amount. So Sheento finishes up the old unofficial triple kill. Great job there. 5-0-2 for the mid lane Poseidon.
What a good game Sheento's had so far. Remember, he's the one that found the pick on the Sops that set up the big play and then going to the Gold Fury. And a great rotation over to catch a bit of an over-committing CryptiK underneath that tier 1. His Kraken was excellent.
Yeah.
And if you can do it this early on before there's a lot of Aegises online, you can see a lot of beads on cooldown, but not Aegis. I imagine those were just picked up when they were sent back and couldn't quite be of much help to avoid the Kraken. That was when he had peak value.
He's got a build that's kind of speaking to my heart as well. Cooldown boots match well with the Spear of the Magus because Spear of the Magus is absurd amounts of penetration. And then the Shaman's Ring, an under-purchased item in my opinion. 100 power, so it's competitive with some of the other options that you're looking at. 10% movement speed as well. Poseidon's already a little bit quick, but he wants to zoom around. And then what all that text says at the bottom is, after you build this item, win a team fight or 2. After that, 10% extra damage every time you deal damage to somebody first. And Poseidon, you're going to Whirlpool before Kraken almost every time. Whirlpool qualifies for itself, so the first tick of damage then means that the subsequent ticks are going to be 10% extra. Your basic attacks, just everything is really amped up. And on a god like Poseidon, it really works out well.
It's getting scary when you consider the lead he's built over sops. Level 15 at this point. 5-0-2. It's going to be scarier and scarier for some of these tanks even to try and get away. I mean, Mineral doesn't have really any dedicated protections in any direction. I mean, he does have the Reinforced Greave, the Gauntlet of Thieves is getting stacked, but that's nothing like if he'd had a bit more time and could have built himself up a Genji's, a Pestilence, an Oni Hunter, something like that to try and help out. We're right in the middle of Sheento's prime time, and like you said, even with some of those all protections, or the Gauntlet Thieves, the Reinforced Greaves, the Spirit of the Magus chews through those so well. He's in a dangerous spot. Even Cope, too, if he gets stuck in the cripple field.
Nice. Yeah. There's the jump in, though. I was looking for Ronngyu, but he couldn't find Zearoe. I was sitting there waiting. I was like, when is this Fafnir going to jump on in? But it could be about the Bellona.
And there's the Kraken, but a perfect Aegis from Sops. What a difference a Relic makes as the Polymorph lands on the Jarcorrr and forces him to disengage. That's critical. Sprint comes out as well, and CryptiK are able to just barely keep their mid-lane Hera alive.
I'd say Sops main's mid.
Fair to say, yeah. He does it a lot, doesn't he?
Ronngyu getting out of jail, and that was a big deal. If Ronngyu gets picked off there, then we see another objective, and things could go into the way of Team CryptiK instead of the way of Sanguine, who has forced it into their direction.
But their game plan's clearly there, and this is why I think Freya can be so strong, is that they really only need a little bit of initiation for the Kraken to be able to hit home. And something like Banish, it's such a safe initiation. You can do it from range and without, positionally committing. And then you can just follow right up with the Kraken on the back end of it. The scarier that Sheento is to me, even the better that makes Netrioid and the potential for him when he can land one of those nice banishes.
Having a hunter, having a carry, having a player like that with a setup is incredible. These gods are usually just designated to kill. They're just there to score the points. They're the forwards. So when you do have an ability like Banish on these gods, it's so nice to utilize with the rest of the team. Because sure, you can deal the damage, and then when you get in trouble, peel for yourself. Sure, you can look for it, but not have a way to initiate. Yes, you do. You can woof. It all works out.
Ends up looking good. Not too dissimilar from the idea of Xbalanque, but let's go to this fight in the mid-camps. Sops has fallen again. They knew he didn't have an Aegis. Mineral, the next one who's on the menu, and the Arachne is chomping at the bit. Ronngyu jumps back in as they switch gears towards Zearoe, but he makes his way out of the Whirlpool, though it costs him his beads and his blink. A lot of relics on cooldown, and Sanguine get away with their win.
Diesel over here makes a little bit of a late rotation, and when he finally shows up, everybody's walking away, which is best case scenario for Sanguine. They've made the carry rotate, and he was reluctant to in the first place. He finally shows up, and they're like, no, we're gonna go. So he kind of gave up a little bit of farm for no reason. He might have been able to match Netrioid or even find himself ahead of Netrioid, but because of that half rotation, Net just keeps it up.
And keeps the pressure on that dual lane as well. Weren't able to move over, though, and try and grab this Primal Fury. We're Sanguine, despite finding Sops. And they've clearly made him a target. And it was something that was an initial concern when Hera came out, but she has such a giant health shield, and Argus is so scary when she drops it, that she's actually been able to be relatively safe for the most part. But in this game in particular, Sanguine have really sat on Sops and this Hera and not given him room to breathe.
And that's been the game plan from the get-go. You're not going to chase down Zearoe. Cope is tanky because he's a tier. And then there's duo lane, which you can kill a zillion times, and it'll just still be duo lane. So, yeah, look at Sops, man. That's the person right in the middle. You're going to see her a little bit more often, and certainly killable, as you can tell. 0-3-1.
Well, so far as the Whirlpool ticks away at Cope, it's not enough, though, to lock him down permanently. Keep your eyes on Panitom, though. He was considering moving into the jungle, but changes his mind. They want to come position around the actual Primal Fury and try and force CryptiK into a fight down 3,000 gold. Sounds good to me. Primal Fury already down well below half, and Cope blinks in as well. Earth and Fury hits just about all 10 players, but it's Zearoe who ends up too low. The Serqet had nowhere to go inside the Whirlpool, and immediately Jarcorrr jumps in with the Eagles Rally.
Meanwhile, on the front side, you're going to see the Kraken come out, but it's largely mitigated. Sops dances around, but still gets hit up by the Spider. Mineral again trying to find an exit ramp, but can't.
Wow, man.
As Netrioid turns around, gets Diesel. Netrioid turns around. Mineral goes down. Panitom don't gotta look at it. The Venom does the work. And it's another team fight for Sanguine Esports.
That's so tough when you can lose a fight where Mineral hits an Earth and Fury like that, right in the center of everyone, but it just doesn't matter. This team from Sanguine is a little bit too tanky. Rongnyu shell usage was not perfect in that engagement for them. But it looks like they've got to wait, though. Cope is stopping them from grabbing this Primal Fury and buying time. He's got to be careful, though. It's a long time before reinforcements actually get here, and they could always just collapse on him.
Yeah, he's gonna fearless power cleave and grabs 2 players, but not enough damage. Need more. The leash is gonna be good under the Gold's Fury, but now Sanguine one more time, grab it, and that's that.
Primal Fury down. That was without Sheento, by the way. He's been over here chilling by solo lane this whole time as if he needs more solo farm, and that's going to threaten that tier 1 tower
Oh my
at least a bit.
goodness. Bro, whoa, okay. I'm sorry for cutting you off as egregiously as I did. 19 to 14 is the level disparity in that middle lane, John
Yes,
Finch.
sir. It's
That's
bad.
That's absurd. That's absurd. That's ridiculous. Oh my goodness. I want to see Sheento just continue this. This is a lead that you have to leverage. It's so large. You've got to play into it.
It is indeed egregious, and maybe that's why he went to go get some more farm over there, is make it even worse, as if he needed more help in that department. But I mean, they've really just sat on sops. It's been both ends of it. Sometimes you can focus someone out, but that doesn't mean their direct opposition is also accelerated in farm. But in this case, it's been both. They've denied sops farm, and Sheento 7-0-4 on top of it. So they're burning the candle at both ends, so to speak, as now the Pyromancer under siege as well. Mineral trying to make his way in, but he's being controlled by Ronngyu. His steal potential's low, and Sanguine take the objective.
Fire Giant fight is going to rely on Panitom finding a good pathway. If Panitom can't find her way behind enemy lines, it's going to be an issue. So if you get a good flank, you'll get a good fight on a Sanguine.
Cope in the right. He is trying to battle it out with Panitom. At this point, it looks like Cope can still box out with the Arachne. I wonder how much the disarm helps with that. As Zearoe can't find the Cobra's Kiss. The arm to find the hammer over the wall. Ronngyu, pretty accurate as it turns out, as he finds himself a nice shot. Cope now the next one in trouble. He's getting slowed down and stunned. But so far, the tanky tier is shrugging it all off. He should be able to disengage, though. He still has the Lawbringer available.
Sheento shows up, the Freya losing the fight. Diesel uses the ultimate more for himself than the enemy on the right side, but, well, Mineral once stood there.
Yeah, that guy does not have Aegis, which makes it hard for him to live through a crack, and Cope is going to be able to get away from the Eagles' rally. Well timed with the Lawbringer to get over the wall, but that does mean the tier 1 tower in right goes down. It looks like Diesel's maintaining his pressure on Netrioid. One small glimmer of light in an otherwise dark tunnel so far for CryptiK, as Sanguine now up 10,000 gold.
A wild Zubat appeared.
That's true, they're in caves.
Stuck in a dark tunnel. Big lead here for Sanguine, and really what I'm asking myself here for Sanguine to do is continue moving forward, continue showing what they're showing. But I want to see more chances being taken by Panitom. And maybe that's the wrong thing, but it'd be fun to watch.
You would like to see some Arachne getting in and doing some more work, but luckily they have so much going right for them everywhere else that Panitom can kind of just put it in cruise control, right, and chill a little bit for this team as long as they can keep playing around Sheento. The question really becomes, how does CryptiK slow down this Poseidon when they can't keep sops alive and they can't keep Mineral alive? Cope has shown several fights in a row that he has the ability to tank up some of their damage, but once he's tanking it up 4, there's just not enough follow-up from Diesel and sops yet for it to even be worth. Fire Giant now at half HP as well. If they can hurry up and get this before the enhanced version, and they could at least secure the objective itself. But Cope is lurking over the wall. Hard to beat out Kraken, though. That's pretty good secure. So Sanguine get the objective. 2-man stun comes out from Jarcorrr as well as Panitom sends sops all the way back to base. Jarcorrr finds one of his own, and that's 2 down and 5 up for Sanguine.
Just don't be there. I don't know what else to say. You can't stand in that spot and expect to get away with it. Diesel will be taken down here as well. And just like that, Sanguine turn 18.
This could be critical, though. Cope at least finds Panitom and limits some of that Arachne damage, but You look at what else Sanguine has cooking: a Fire Giant, a Draconic Corruption, Fafnir with the Coerce. They should be able to shred through this Phoenix without too much trouble, and Cope can't slow them down. It's still 9 seconds before Mineral joins the fray, but Sanguine, their eyes aren't bigger than their stomach here. They'll fall back knowing they still have plenty of gold to spend.
Playing the right side very cleanly, getting that Phoenix, mid Phoenix, and the left Phoenix still standing. Of course, those towers still standing as well, but bit by bit is what Sanguine are looking for. Slowly, they found some invades, slowly found some other objectives, but slowly is the key here for game number 1, as Sanguine just kind of doing their thing some more. The Gold Fury should respawn, and this will unfortunately be a regular one. No fancy Oni, no fancy heal-a-bot.
Not too bad. I've been singing the praises of Sheento a lot here this game, but look where Netrioid is in the player damage charts as well. Only just behind Jarcorrr. So it's a lot of magic damage that's causing problems for CryptiK here so far this game. And still we haven't seen a ton by way of dedicated magical protection. The Oni Hunter's Garb is there for Mineral, but Cope is again going in this sort of bruisery route with the Runic instead of more, solid magical protections. It's good. They need Cope to provide some damage. I just don't know if that's going to be enough if he's in a Whirlpool or gets hit by a Netrioid Banish and all their damage follows up.
That's fair, and even with any other build, I'm not sure if he would be able to survive anyway. That's an all-out onslaught. So I'm a proponent. I like glass cannon builds because the best CC is death, and if I can kill you, you are CC'd for however long your screen is black and white.
Yeah, really, a death is a silence. It's a disarm. Yeah. It's a root. It's a stun.
You're off of the battlefield.
It's all of it at once.
You're just gone for 30,
it's a banish, then I guess. That's a good
seconds.
point. It's a 40-second banish. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
I mean, that's the entire reason you look for kills. There's gold and there's a bounty if somebody's ahead of you, but if I'm level 19 and you're level 15, why am I killing you? First of all, to make you feel bad about yourself. But
that's
second
critical.
of all, in the game,
out of game CC is that one where you mentally CC.
It's 100 gold or whatever you're going to get for the kill, depending on the situation. Sure, all well and good. Now the gold you get from the opportunity that you've gotten from getting that kill is what you're looking at the value.
Oni's does at least come through for Cope, so he gets a little bit more help. And by a little, I mean a lot more help up against Sheento and Netrioid the next time they fight. Looks like CryptiK are showing some presence around the tier 2, but this is faux presence. They don't truly want to take this fight, at least not yet. They'll let that last tier 2 tower go down and fall back to defend on these Phoenix instead.
Now that, really like Christmas. Faux presence.
No, you get real presents on Christmas. Unfortunate. You get empty boxes.
You get the like floor model you've got to return. You've got 13 days to play with this, Junior.
That's rough. I hope that didn't. I'm sorry.
14-day return policy.
Unfortunate. Yeah, I always got real presents that were in the box and I got to have them. I had one Christmas where I really wanted Rock Band.
Oh yeah.
And my parents were like, we can't get you that. It's loud. It's expensive. It's not happening. And so, I was looking under the tree, and I was like, if it's in one of these boxes, I'll know for sure.
Yeah,
because Rock Band's gigantic, right? And there's nothing that could possibly contain all the Rock Band goodness I wanted. And so I'm, real sad, and all their, present stuff's on the ground. And my mom's like, go in my room and get the trash bag so you can clean this stuff up. And I go in there, and Rock Band's in there, in her room. And she tricked me.
Oh,
it was really sweet.
That's adorable.
It's a good story.
I like that.
Another good story is that CryptiK got to get out of here. Yeah, cannot take this fight. Instead, Sanguine will fall back. FG's fallen off at this point here, Tom, so they're waiting on that next spawn of the big fella.
And Team CryptiK are just at the point where they can think about playing defense. That right side Phoenix is about to respawn. It should be one of the last fire waves, if not the last fire wave. So being able to clear that is what keeps them from staying relevant at the Fire Giant fight. They've got other work to do. So if Sanguine are able to, or excuse me, if CryptiK are able to kind of push up these fire minions, then they should be able to respond to the Fire Giant.
Sanguine burn this so quickly. I don't know there would be a window. Look at all these wards too. They'd know the second someone from CryptiK even poked their head in and considered. Oh boy,
that was so fast.
Oh yes, the Fire Giant go down. Yes, they did it very quickly. And now they'll come to the weakened right side Phoenix as well. Cope is backing now to come join the fray.
Just one stack of Primal Fury, right?
I think so.
Yes. Yeah. My notes say just one, and that was just. I mean,
especially because I think another one's about to spawn right now, so likely they've only got one. There's Sanguine considering this right side Phoenix. They're playing it still slow. They've got Panitom in mid, and I don't know that there's anyone, even Cope, that I'd want to send to take this 1v1, not if it's prolonged, as Sanguine start to move into the Phoenix.
Especially with the Magi's cloak, that's going to be real tough for the tier to deal with.
Not even going to be able to control her properly. The disarm might break it. But immediately Jarcorrr goes in, but he's been brought down quite low already, controlled quite well by Zearoe. Right side Phoenix goes down, but Jarcorrr does pay a hefty price as far as HP. But Diesel's used his ultimate, so is Zearoe, and Sanguine still largely A-okay. In fact, Jarcorrr is going to teleport back in.
Sops has an ultimate available, but Cope's is less impactful, so Sops is the only real, true ultimate. You're going to get some good slows and maybe a nice setup from Cope, but it's not Argus, right?
Right.
So Sops and this team will retreat.
They're still lurking around, though, because as Jarcorrr did upgrade the teleport, so he was definitely going to be coming in to try and join this fray. The rest of Team CryptiK are going to do their best to hold on with the right side minion, or Phoenix down. Fire minion should be there soon. Jarcorrr has been blown up so far. He doesn't even make it out. Cope comes in and slams down on top with the Lawbringer. Mid-Phoenix only at half HP as well, as Panitom has to fall back out, though Netrioid can't quite hunt down Zearoe. He makes it out too. This is so far a good defense for CryptiK.
I love how I said the ult from tier not going to really matter, and it's literally what got a kill. The only kill in the battle came from the ultimate from tier.
To be fair, they just needed an ability that would do damage there, and so, yeah, tier did that. But most of the work was done by Sops, so you're still right, I think.
Thanks. I will take it. But that push was not as successful as Sanguine wanted it to be. Team CryptiK able to strip one Fire Giant buff away. That's already a win. Panitom, Sheento, Netrioid still have it, so you gotta look at that. But, I mean, Sanguine are still in the driver's seat, but CryptiK have gotten one of the stops.
Yes.
And this is the position that you're in when you have your Phoenix down, when the enemies kind of has the ball, so to speak. You are counting stops. Right now,
it's like when you take the Midtown train in New York, where you're from, right? Where there's a bunch of stops, I bet.
Kind of. The problem is that there's somebody on the train trying to push you out of the door every single stop.
Right.
I was really referring to a basketball or a football stop, but we can go with that analogy as well.
Sure. It wasn't as mean-spirited as it may have seemed. I thought it would be funny if I did a I don't know you New York very well joke. That's what I was trying to go with that.
I'm playing. You're the man. But with CryptiK, they're counting the stops till it's all even.
Right.
And right now, it's really just support for support, so they kind of already did that. You can be technical and say they need one more defensive set, but realistically, the game is even now. What they need to do is they need a good defensive set here on the left side to enable them to push out.
Ronngyu has been caught out, but Zearoe ends up ulting the minion! It's unfortunate Ronngyu jukes it out. That does at least get the poison to bounce to Ronngyu in the back, but I'm sure he would have preferred to grab the man himself instead. It looks like they are going to be able to get some pressure to the mid-Phoenix, though, for Jarcorrr, who sits on top of the Phoenix. It'll be up to Cope to try and slow him down. Left side Phoenix at half HP too, and Zearoe blinks in. Netrioid the target. Earth and Fury only hits the friendlies, and looks like Sanguine have to leave.
Yeah, CryptiK are going to be pushing out, and that's a great, again, another great stop. Still, the right side Phoenix is still alive, so Team CryptiK are still on the defensive. But if they can keep Sanguine at bay, if they can get 2 or 3 more defensive sets on their side, then the right side Phoenix will respawn, they're able to push out forward, and they're able to defend this next Fire Giant, which is perhaps the most important point. And CryptiK have done a great job of kind of treading water, getting their stops, doing what they have to do, their homework. Choose whatever analogy you want. They've done a great job of standing the ground, pushing the opponent out, and now we're at a point where the game is almost tied.
And I'm starting to wonder if Jarcorrr can do quite enough for them on these sieges. The last couple of times that he's gone in, he's either been blown up too quickly or hasn't been disruptive enough to the backline to allow the rest of Sanguine to move into Phoenix range and start looking for some damage. That's why they sent Ronngyu in first, I feel like, on that last siege, and he was able to juke out the ultimate from Zearoe. They're going to need to do a little bit more to get some room in, because they don't have a traditional hunter. They're going to need much more time to burn the Phoenix down from range than they would otherwise.
Panitom is going to do a good job of that, but the key point, the key word that Panitom can do it is from range.
Right.
And that's the big deal, is that Panitom is going to have to really get in there in melee range, and then you look at...
If they can make it all the way up to the Phoenix, they're going to shred it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a larger if than it might seem. This is the most important stop for CryptiK yet. If they can prevent this Phoenix from falling down, they can then go on to kind of push forward. I thought that they would be able to get a chance at the Fire Giant, but that's not the way the timing's worked out. And now the right side Phoenix is under attack.
And they're pushing with a Fire Minion wave and with the Fire Giant buff on for themselves. Earth and Fury comes out, but that right side Phoenix already down. Mineral manages to force Panitom back. Jarcorrr getting locked down as well. They even commit Argus. They want this Bellona gone. They want Panitom too. Kraken comes through, but double Aegis keeps everyone alive. But even the Whirlpool's too much damage. Diesel goes in aggressively. He wants to get in some autos.
Meanwhile, Netrioid from the sky is going to put Diesel down. Sheento answers back though. And Netrioid with a double kill. 2 players alive on the side of Sanguine. Can they win the fight? Netrioid is going to will himself into the champion's seat. Looking for the kill one more time. The lift and the gift. Quadra kill for Netrioid.
And they still have a chance. It's going to be difficult, just the 2 of them by themselves, with Zearoe still here, but they're going to move right into the Titan room. Netrioid getting it done with the Freya in the late game, chunking through the Hera, and now they move on to the Titan itself, down below half HP. Zearoe at least gets rid of Ronngyu, and that might be too much. Netrioid can't take it up by himself, and Team CryptiK hold on, keeping this game alive.
Oh my lord, if you're not just joining us and you've been watching all afternoon, we just saw this! Armada and Space Station Gaming back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. At the Titan killing, at the Titan killing. Oh, no, Netrioid.
Yeah, that's a hard 1v1 to take.
Sanguine redoing it. In case you missed the last one, you can watch it here. And this has been exciting. I don't care. I'm down. Quadra kill for Netrioid.
Huge. Well, Zero's going to try and stop them, but he can't. The mid Phoenix goes down. The best he can do is take their life on the back end, and this should spell the end for Netrioid. Zearoe gets the credit, and now Jarcorrr must run out. It looks like he teleported in to try and back up Netrioid to grab that mid Phoenix, but that's still a decent amount of damage done. Right side Phoenix was taken down. Mid Phoenix goes down as well for the first time. They'll have extra fire minions to worry about, and I know you were talking about a number of stops, but by getting those Phoenixes, Sanguine's added another that they need to get these Phoenixes back up.
Oh, yeah, exactly. This is a completely, now we're on a different chapter. Before it was the right side Phoenix is down, and we've got to get, you know, a couple of defensive stops. We got to make sure that push the opponent out maybe 3 or 4 times, and they did that. And now that Sanguine have gotten the right side and the mid lane Phoenix, that's almost not even the thought process. It's more dire than that. It's, yes, we have to continue getting these stops, but we also have to keep them out of our base, because if you start fighting on the left side Phoenix, you lose one player, you likely lose the game because of the ability to just tumble salt into the throne room. So CryptiK have to play extra safe.
And Sanguine taking this fight outside of the Phoenixes, just right here in the middle lane. Panitom's up in the air, and he should be able to come back down and drop down some slows, but the Kraken only tickles Diesel. It can't bring him low enough. In fact, he can still come in to look for some more autos, but this is great from Jarcorrr. Get right to the back line and sit on top of the Hunter. Netrioid finds a kill as well. Cope goes down, and it's 1 for 3. Sanguine can now keep surging.
That's exactly where CryptiK want to fight. Again, talking about playing defense, with this amount of Phoenixes down, you've got to fight outside, not inside, but they're losing the fight.
And I don't know where Sops is meant to go. Netrioid raining damage from on high, and Panitom has Mineral locked down left-hand side. Stun doesn't get there from Ronngyu, but they don't need it. That's a full-on deicide for Sanguine, and I can't think of any good reason why they can't just go in. Sanguine should be able to take the game, and CryptiK, despite miracle defense after miracle defense, just can't hold on.
They absolutely have earned this one, Finch. Sanguine were looking real strong. They found their victory, and again, this is just, you know what? Thanks, Netrioid.
Yes, that is what this is. He made a big play, because you really started to see in the late game why sometimes people talk about Poseidon kind of falling off in the late game, but once those Aegises are up and they can just save them for Kraken, it becomes so much less valuable. He hit a 2-man Kraken onto priority targets, and it just didn't matter because they Aegised.
Exactly. The Aegis is just able to counteract a lot of what Poseidon's trying to do, and if that's going to be the case, then you've got to kind of look at the other side and say, where can we move around? Chase that Aegis someplace else, make somebody find it, make the jungler find the Aegis, and then pop it, but not the case.
Or you could get all those things on cooldown and let Netrioid quadra kill him. That's not too bad of a plan either, as that win ends up coming out. Let's get it back over to the desk, though. We got to let them break down Sanguine's win.
Sanguine kind of toys with their food, it feels like, for a while. I mean, it wasn't willingly, though, I'd say, from CryptiK. CryptiK put up a really, really good fight the entire end game, but the early game just made it impossible for them to come back.
Sheento had a phenomenal game on the Poseidon, really shutting down what the Serqet and the tier brought to the table. I think I question a little bit of the banning selection out of CryptiK in the secondary phase. They banned away the Musenkov and the Kronos, two guys that Sheento also excels at, but I would rather deal with a single target cripple with a Musenkov Stinger than an AoE cripple Whirlpool out of the Poseidon.
Yeah, it was all Sheento in the early game. This Poseidon was popping off, and then they kind of handed the ball over to Netrioid in the late game, and you heard it there. I mean, a quadra kill for him. He absolutely decimates the enemy team come the late game. This Freya, I mean, there was a point where it was like, okay, she just got nerfed a bunch. We're not seeing her as much anymore. She goes through picks and bans every once in a while, and now teams are like, wait a minute, she can still do some pretty nasty stuff. She still continues to look really, really good here today.
Bullying out Diesel several times on the Xbalanque. It was pretty easy for Netrioid, I would say, or rather comfortable. A lot of rotations from their support, Panitom on the Arachne as well, feeling very comfortable. And it's difficult to really ban away Sanguine because they have so many comfortable, unconventional picks, right? Like, yeah, you can ban away the Arachne, but then you let Naja come through. Like, yeah,
right.
you can ban away something else like the Poseidon, but then Kronos is going to be making an appearance.
Yeah, again, Sanguine's just a really good team. They play well together, and that's the big thing. On the other side, I think for CryptiK, what was your assessment of the Cope solo Zearoe jungle experiment? Do you think that worked out for them?
I mean, Cope hasn't played solo lane since, I think, Season 3 with Team Allegiance. I think he played good in the team fights, didn't make a presence in the laning phase, as most tiers generally don't do up against the Jarcorr's Bellona. It's no surprise that he went for that comfort pick. Zearoe on the Serqet left a little bit more to be desired. Surprised that he doesn't go for the Mad Guy's Cloak, instead opts for more damage in the Titan's Bane, but at that point he needed more ways to get in and get off his kit as opposed to dealing damage.
Shout out to Ronngyu in this one, 0-1 and 22. That's what you like to see out of your support player for sure. He has a great game on that Fafnir, but it's all Netrioid in the late game, man. 32,000 damage. I mean, no one else even close to the 30s.
But it was all set up by Sheento's Kraken. 2 Aegises come out through that one ability, and that 24,000 damage is not the most in the world compared to the 32 from Netrioid, but it took 35 minutes until finally CryptiK found one individual kill onto Sheento's Poseidon, and Sanguine, off of that quadra kill from Netrioid, almost end the game. That was a good hold.
And don't forget, Sheento was also incredibly far ahead. At one point, he had, what, a 5-level lead over sops in that game. So sops going to look to bounce back and do a little bit better in this next one. That's the key. I mean, it's a best of 3. CryptiK has had their fair share of games like this where they have rough early games and they never get a chance to get back into it.